back to another Realtor Spotlight. We've been gone a while, but we're back. This week's Spotlight is Renee Mcgee. Renee, it's good to have you.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
It's good. You were the one that when we kind of started this, and then when I put it out, who wants to do it, I knew you would be one.
Why?
That I just felt like it was right up your alley. This is something you'd be interested in. So, am I right?
Not really, because I come from a debilitatingly shy background.
Okay.
So this is not right up my alley, but it's definitely something that I'm trying to venture into and do a little bit more of.
Okay, so you do like weekly updates on, I think, some kind of social media. It's Facebook, right?
And Instagram.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So is that something that you're shy about, that you've had to push yourself?
Yes, I actually did a challenge early last year where we were trying to do a little bit of video. They said one time a day, every day for 75.
Who gave you this challenge?
Okay, so I belong to this group. It's called READ, Real Estate All Day. So READ.
Got it.
And it's from Clubhouse. It's an online thing back in 2020 when everybody was locked down, wasn't doing a whole heck of a lot across the nation. There was an app that was called Clubhouse. So I started to kind of socialize with these realtors across the nation. Most of them are on the East Coast, so it's an early kind of morning thing. You don't see faces. You might see a little picture, an icon of the person talking, but it's just people sharing what they're doing to improve their businesses.
What do you see? You said it's mostly East Coast, different markets. Mm-hmm. What's different about what they do compared to what we do? Do you see any differences?
I don't, but I mean, some of those other states that are East Coast, they were actually all shut down. Like, we didn't get totally shut down in 2020, but some of those marketplaces in Canada, they did get shut down, so they weren't able to do real estate at all.
Right.
So.
Yeah, we were fortunate. Yeah,
yes.
I think we were definitely fortunate. I remember that whole are we essential employees, or however that worked. It was up in the air for 48 hours whether or not we would be able to continue working. I remember that. And
yes.
I think some of the folks at OAR kind of got on the, did what they're supposed to do and, worked for it and got us through the governor. And I think so it worked out good. But you don't see a difference in what are they talking about? What is it that attracts you to this?
It's basically, we've found a lot of people. I mean, like, one of the people that I've talked to, a lot of them have actually grown their businesses just by sharing what they do the best. And one of them is he's big into working with veterans and veteran loans, the VA loans and stuff like that. He actually has since been asked by Grant Cardone, I don't know if he's a 10X guy, to be a portion of his company and his company. And I don't know his wife's name.
What's 10X guy?
Grant Cardone. He takes all these businesses.
I should know this
person. He takes all these businesses and they 10X them, so they grow them.
Yes. They multiply.
They multiply them.
All right.
Him, along with another guy named Levi Lassick, and he actually got into the business in 2020. He's from Dallas area, and he started kind of researching what YouTube can do for his business because he was coming in a very odd time of real estate. So he decided to do YouTube videos. With those YouTube videos, he blew up his business.
Right.
And he's very, very good. He studies the market, and
he's just a realtor.
He's just a realtor.
Okay.
He's written a book since. He's starting to talk on the stages of, Mike Ferry and just different places and stuff across the nation.
Have you read the book?
2 years. No, I have it sitting on my desk, and I'm trying to get to it, but I've had a lot on my plate this year.
Right. Interesting. So you've done these videos and you put that out there. What have you learned by doing that weekly? What has it taught you? How's that helped you?
It's actually helped me in the fact that a lot of people that I didn't realize were watching are watching. I mean, they're starting to ask me, "Oh, I didn't see your video go up on Monday Market in a minute."
That's really good.
And so I was just like, wow. And my grandkids, I hear it from my grandkids and, our daughters, and they kind of laugh at me, haha, we saw your Monday Market in a minute. But people are watching, and people are wondering where it is when I don't do it.
Yes.
So it's kind of intriguing. Actually, when I take that Instagram reel is what it is. It's about 90 minutes. Sometimes it's a minute.
90 minutes?
I'm
90
sorry,
seconds.
90 seconds.
Okay.
So 60.
Man, you got a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
90,
60.
Yeah.
Exactly. That'll come with my YouTube hopefully soon.
Right.
But when I take that and I actually put that reel on Facebook, where a lot of the people I know from church or my social places and stuff
Sure.
like that, they're starting to recognize it. And I actually get more views when I place that reel onto Facebook than I do on the actual Instagram.
There's more of a following on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I think so too. I think there's a whole different demographic from the two,
Yes.
or at least what they're looking for on one platform to the other. I think Facebook tends to be where there's more information.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Instagram is more just pictures and things like that. I could be wrong, but that's at least my demographic. So that's how they see it, I think.
Well, I have I think a more personal following on Facebook because you start it with your friends.
Sure.
Your friends and family and stuff like that.
Right.
So when they start to see that, they're like, oh, tell me a little bit more, or, well, that was interesting,
Yeah.
or I saw your video, or,
Yeah.
so it's kind of,
The information that you give when you're doing those, it's like days on market, how many new listings there are, things like that. Do you find that information is helpful for you? That you're learning it more, you're seeing more trends, things like that, just by you doing it.
yes, it actually helps me to follow the market and understand what's going on because right now, my my Monday market in a minute that I just recently did, that one showed me that there was a lot less listings coming on the market this past week, and there were a lot more buyers. And that's showing that there's going to be a crunch when it comes to competitive marketing and what you're going to have to do if you're working with a buyer. I mean, it's still going to be competitive, and days on the market, months on the market, it's still showing. It's not what the nationwide news is telling us that, the market's in a downfall. We're actually still going pretty strong.
Sure.
We just don't have the inventory.
I'm not hearing a downfall. I don't know, I think it depends on what you're watching or I do know that when you hear national news, it really doesn't apply here.
No.
It rarely has ever, in my years of real estate, I've never seen that watching the NBC News or whatever, the nightly news, and they're talking real estate, that it's applicable.
No.
Here at least. I think in '08, it was somewhat applicable. Everybody crashed. Everybody slowed. But where on the coast they were losing 50% value, we lost 15% value.
Right.
So it's sometimes just relative. But I think you doing that is good. Even if you don't get the views that you want, I think. I know, like for us doing these, some of these, I don't know, I used to pay attention to how many people are watching. I haven't really looked lately. But for me, it's valuable to talk to you or to talk to whoever it is, to get to know them, to get to, see what they're doing and see what their needs are and things like that. That's where it's value to me, not necessarily if we can get 1 million views out there, I guess that's great,
Yeah.
right? But that doesn't, we don't have to do that.
Right.
So anyway, about you. So how long have you been in real estate?
I knew you were going to ask me this question, and the reason why I'm an old person. I'm not like an old person, but I'm old in the real estate industry. I got my license in, 1994, so I'm coming up on 30 years.
Okay.
But that hasn't all been here in Oklahoma.
I knew that. Where was that?
Colorado.
Okay. So how long were you a realtor there for?
Well, I've been coming up here on 12 years, so
Okay. Where were you before you came here?
Colorado.
No, you weren't with the brokerage here in Oklahoma?
Oh, in Metro Group Brokers.
Okay,
yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
And then you decided to come. Who brought you over? I can't remember who.
Brenda Woodard.
Brenda Wood. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
She was actually with me over there, and then when she came over to you guys, I was just like, hey, tell me a little bit.
I thought she was with Bold.
She was, and then she came over to you guys before I came over.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Kind of miss her.
I do too.
Yeah, I do.
I do
miss
too.
her.
I bumped into her at the hospital a couple weeks ago. Well, probably a couple months ago.
Why the hospital? How do you?
My husband with his knee,
Okay.
and she had something else going on, so
Oh,
we
okay.
bumped into each other.
Okay. All right. So what's the difference between Colorado and Oklahoma as far as real estate?
I love Oklahoma a lot better. Number one, I was never a big fan of the houses in Colorado. I mean, like, you have to build up, so there's not a lot of ranch style
Okay,
homes, and I
right.
love that about Oklahoma. I also love that they have brick here. It's changing, new construction, but in Colorado, it's like a brick fascia, which we're kind of trending that way
Right.
right now as well. But also, back when I did real estate in Colorado, it was before the marijuana laws were legalized. So back then, everyone was keeping up with the Joneses. So when you actually went in to take a listing, I hope nobody hates me for saying this, but actually when you went in to take a listing, um, people were just like kind of, they would pull out a second mortgage or refinance and buy Christmas presents
Okay.
or buy a new boat or some
Okay.
jet skis or
And that
whatever.
doesn't happen here?
I'm sure it does.
Right.
But it did. It seemed like a lot more people had sitting equity in their
Oh,
property.
values just went way up. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Well, here too in Oklahoma, what I noticed here that was a little bit different is when it came to the market, it was like an ebb and flow. And in Colorado, it was like it climbed,
Right,
then
yeah.
it would drop, and then it would climb,
Yeah.
climb. So you had a lot of the ups and downs. It was a definite seller market, kind of what we're experiencing now in Oklahoma market.
Yeah.
We're experiencing extreme sellers market, whereas it was a extreme buyers market just previous to this.
Sure. That's the first time that's happened here that I'm aware of, as far as the
Mm-hmm.
value going up like it has. It's it's always been somewhere else that's happened, and ours has just kind of just creeped. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
2%, maybe a 3% growth, maybe a 1%, but never 30% growth. And within 18 months, I think values went up that much.
Right.
Maybe 24 months, which is almost just stupid. But what we've seen is we haven't seen the decline, like that up and down.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the up, and now it's just kind of, leveled off. So for sellers, that's a good thing.
It is.
It doesn't help the
I
buyers.
don't really think it's going to do the extreme decline just
No.
for the fact that Oklahoma needed to catch up with the marketplace across the nation.
Yeah.
That's what I feel.
Yeah.
And a lot of people ask me that, well, what if I lose equity or whatever? And I'm like, I've
No.
been in the market long
Yeah.
enough to realize that that's not going to happen.
We don't think it will. Yeah.
We don't have the statistics that we had back in 2008 where you were getting loans just because you can fog a glass,
Sure.
or
Sure.
a mirror.
Yeah. Well, we took advantage of it, though. As realtors,
yeah.
if we can get you, if you wanted it, you were going to get the house.
Right.
Which we were great with because I don't know that it was irresponsible on our half, but it definitely was a weird market. Weird market back then. The one thing, as far as pricing and values, you said catch up. I don't know. I like it when it's a buyer's market. I like the buyer's market better than the seller's market because I like people being able to buy. I wonder. I look at I've got one kid's 25 and one's 29. My older 35-year-old, he has a house. He bought one. The other two haven't. And it's going to be tough for them to buy a house. If they want to, my first house I bought was $24,000. I bought half of a duplex. It was $24,000. My first house I bought was about $74,000. Your payment was $692 or something like
Right.
that. Now if these kids, that same house is $240.
Right.
They can't afford a $2,500 payment especially with the rates.
With the rates.
Insurance rates have gone sky high. So it's a little uncomfortable on that for me as far as that goes, but I don't know. We'll see. What do you see on that?
No, I just, with my buyers and stuff, I mean, I see a lot of people, especially even in the younger generation, that are still wanting to explore investment properties. And I look at it as there's not going to be a cash flow with the interest rates the way they are. However, there is still equity growth. There's still somebody else who's living there paying down your principal. And
I mean, if they have renters, is that what you're saying?
if they have
Sure,
renters,
sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, the rental market is really
good.
strong right now too. So that's paying down their principal, and then also when the interest rates do drop, they can reduce their payment by doing a refinance. Now, when it comes to buyers, it's tough, but there's still, I mean, there was quite a bit of a slow when it was just like every month the interest rates were increasing. So everyone was just like, wait a second, let's see what's going to happen.
Right. What do you think's going to happen?
I think that, well, we've got the election year coming up. I don't get into politics a whole lot, but I do notice with trending years and stuff like that, that eventually they are going to drop. I do not think we're going to get anywhere close to the 3% and 3.25%, 3.5% that we were at. It's going to probably be really challenging to even get back to 5%, but it will get comfortable, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, 6 is good. I mean, if they get to 3 is great.
Yes.
But no, I remember being in a house that I got, it was 6.0. This was in 94, 95. It was a new home, and I think my rate was 6.0. And I thought, I'll never be able to leave this house
Right.
because the rates are so cheap at 6%. And of course, you know, then we got hit by a tornado, and then we got an SBA loan for 3.9, which, you know, for whatever reason, if you're a victim, you got a great rate. So I like to play the victim role, so we got that one. And even that wasn't the lowest we've seen.
No.
So it really was a crazy time.
We're sitting at 2 3/4. Now, when my buyers, we were at the 3.5%, I was just like, hey, it's a, you know, somebody can come in here and do a qualifying assumption.
Right.
But because the home prices went up so quickly in the past 2.5, 3 years, I mean, they have to have that equity sitting in their bank, but there was a lot of cash floating around there,
I don't know where it came from.
I was like, you know, in my almost 30 years of real estate.
Is it still there?
Oh my gosh, I haven't seen it a whole lot recently, but it's got to be still there.
I didn't understand that at all.
Yeah.
It was just I thought, you know, for 2008, it was a crash. You know, usually every 8 to 9 years we see a crash or at least a correction. We hadn't seen one. So 2020 comes up and that, you know, COVID hit. I thought for sure, okay, here it is. It's going to correct a little bit. And we're going to go back, and it went skyrocketed. So you don't ever try to predict the market. It's hard.
No.
Yeah.
No crystal ball.
Yeah. So, what is it about real estate that you like? What attracts you to being a realtor?
I just love, number one, meeting new people. I love finding homes. I love seeing the joy in people's faces. And I don't know, I just love the whole process. A lot of realtors, they'll probably give me some thumbs down on this one, but I mean, it's one of those things that I even like the paperwork. And a lot of realtors don't even like the paperwork, but I need to kind of
Most don't.
No, I know. I need
either.
to push that aside, though, just because, I mean, like, I feel like sometimes because I'm a solo agent, that I'm the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, you know, so I'm just like, you know, taking the dog to the dog groomer and then, you know, trying to do real estate. And I was thinking, well, you know, I'd drop all of that just to get somebody in the door to see a house. I love showing them the houses. I love to see what the potential is when they do get into the house, and also seeing what happens, you know, after they move in and, you know, do their own thing with it, because you can't really do that when you're renting a house.
Right. When do you like it? Do you like it always, or?
I can't say that I like it always, because it's definitely, I mean, if you could, you know, put a label on it, it's kind of like one of those bipolar. Real estate is bipolar.
Yeah, I had a realtor this morning that been a realtor for a long, long time. I want to quit. I'm done. You know, she just having a bad day, had a couple deals gone south. I want to quit. And I'm like, okay, all right.
Because when it's going good, you feel like, oh yeah, I'm a champion.
Yeah.
I feel so good. And it's got all the feel goods of everything. And then all of a sudden you have a couple of slow months and you're like, oh man, I'm just not cut out for this.
Yeah.
And so, you know, knowing that in all the years, you just have to kind of, I mean, like when it's slow, you just have to sharpen your axe. That's when you're like improving your systems and stuff like that. So that's what I try to do, and just try to keep my head in the game when it gets that way.
That's good. That's good to know. And I think it takes experience to be able to get to that point. What's something about you that we don't know? What's something that if you were to say, we'd be like, holy crap, I would have never thought that.
Probably I'm almost 30 years in the business. I don't know. I mean, like, I guess, I mean, any day now I could be a great grandmother.
Really? How old's your grandkids?
So our two oldest grandsons are 20 years old.
Okay.
And one of them actually is dating a girl with an 18-month-old. Oh, actually, she's going to be 2 here pretty soon.
Okay.
So, I mean, we could essentially be like, great-grandparents here pretty soon, depending on how that goes. But,
that's interesting. Mm-hmm. They live here?
Yeah, not both of them. We have 3 grandkids in Texas and 3 here in Oklahoma.
You're from Texas, right? Kind of, sort of.
Yes, my parents are both from Texas.
Okay.
And I was raised in the Army. So I
Okay.
moved all over all the time.
Your folks alive?
Mm-hmm.
Great grandparents.
They are great grandparents. And my daughter's children get to spend a lot of time with them.
Okay.
I mean, like they go there after school. And my oldest grandson, he's actually with the police department in Texas. He's a detention officer because he's not 21 yet. So,
Right.
yeah.
Who is it that you know that knows my mom?
Pam and Dwayne.
Yes.
Graves,
Yes.
yes.
They live in the same same area.
Yeah, I think kind of across from each other.
I feel like she brings you up every time I'm there. Every time we'll go out to eat. They go to Tuesdays. They go to Bill's. Mm-hmm. It's like $4 chicken fried steak or something.
Oh, really?
Like that. So they all go. So I'll try to meet them there sometimes, and they'll bring you up every time.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's funny.
Or Pam will, but anyway, that's all I got. It was good to have you.
It's nice to have you.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll see you next
Thanks
week.
for the